Good evening, friends, and welcome to yet another episode of Through Literary Lens. Good evening, Vinodji.
Good evening, Rajesh ji.
And today, friends, we will discuss a novel, and that too a different sort of novel, written by none other than our own Dr. Vinod Asudani himself. So, Dr. Saab, you have written the first novel of your life, and it is also published. It is available on Kindle,
Kindle, Amazon, and hard copies are available on Amazon.in.
and the name of the novel, friends, the name of the novel is Soft Corner.
Yes, Rajesh ji, Soft Corner. I believe that this has a power of its own.
Yeah, it has an evocative power. And what does it contain? Basically, everybody is thrilled to know, and we will discuss it. Not only the contents, not only the story plot of the novel, but also the underlying myths which it shatters. And I would venture to say, Dr. Saab, that this novel has a holistic paradigm of love. Traditionally, what happens?
Exactly.
Love stories are written monastically. Monastically, in the sense that two people, a girl and a boy, fall in love, and it is fraught with trials and tribulations, and finally they marry or they don't marry, and whatever. But this novel has an entirely different paradigm, and why it is so, we will be taking you through all that.
Right. When you look at the beginning of the novel starts very simply. It narrates a story of a middle class boy, Narayan,
Narayan.
who is born in a village and is educated at village. And for his higher education, he comes to town and he begins to live in the company of three of his classmates, Gopal, Prakash, and Shiva. Each of these boys has a different approach to life. But the central metaphor of this novel, Rajesh,
Yeah.
comes from unusual passion that Narayan has for music as well as love. It is the twin objective of his life, love and art.
And he wants to be happy. Basically, Narayan is not a very ambitious boy as such. He wants here. I think Vinodji, he has found the keystone of life. That happiness is the ultimate aim of anybody's life, for that matter.
Exactly, he works as a clerk in the education department and he refuses the promotion because promotion will take him away from this town, and his art and love both lie in this town, and therefore he does not want to go away. Even he rejects the offer to be a singer in the film industry.
Yeah. So, and happiness. Till the end, when he visits his office, for the novel begins and ends there, that he visits his office where he has worked for 40 years, but he has found the key to happiness not in the ambition, not in being the national level singer, or not in climbing the ladder of the career, but he has found his happiness in art as well as love. He has befriended, he has been in, I would say, in relation with more than one woman, isn't it?
Yes, it is here that novel goes to the next level of man and woman relationship. It is not confined to single man and single woman. Basically, this novel tries to conceptualize the true ideal of love relationship. The first girl who comes in his life is Madhura, and she is the embodiment of music and art. It is her art, her love of music that fascinates Narayan.
When he's in college, he sings with Madhura, and she is a very confident girl. She encourages him, and they establish a rapport which lasts throughout their life. When they meet again, in fact, Narayan helps her find her authentic self once again through music. When she has become the doctor, successful doctor, she has got married. Still, when she meets Narayan again, she longs for her authentic self in art, and she pursues it again. So this is a very good relationship which is artistic. It binds them artistically together.
Basically, the central metaphor of the novel is multi-dimensional nature of love relationship.
Yeah.
Love is not something only physical, neither it is something only emotional. Or intellectual or artistic.
I would say it is for all four, a PEIA, PIA. I call it PIA.
Yes.
Physical, emotional, intellectual, as well as artistic.
So Madhura is the manifestation of artistic dimension of love relationship. And the second woman that touches his heart, the another corner of his heart, right, is Menaka.
Yeah.
She is the expression of profound emotional aspect.
Yeah, they bind emotionally. She meets Narayan when he is working, doing a private job in a hotel. And again, she is in his office also. She is recruited. He finds her again. And they bond emotionally with one another. They have very good talks. He even engages music classes for her. He takes her there. And they bond emotionally. He visits her house many times. And that emotional bond persists till the end.
Yeah. And the third woman that very easily comes in his life. Another important aspect is Narayan does not run after women at all.
Correct.
They naturally come in his life. It is a natural development.
And many times they initiate the relationship. By relationship, mind you listeners, I am not referring to just physical relationship, because we often misconstrue the relationship as being having the physical contact or sexual relations. No, here the meaning of relationship is in the true sense of the term.
Right, Rambha is the third,
Yeah.
right? Perhaps she appeals to his intellectual aspect of personality.
Yeah.
And this relationship, of course, is not properly or explicitly described by the novelist, but the letter that she writes to Narayan after she is married to another man, that letter makes us understand that she is a woman of high intellect.
And then Urvashi. Then fourth main woman, other women are also there. Saramya is there, just a fleeting glimpse of her and the way she gets married, and he then sort of masturbates and realizes that he is bound to her for life in imagination at least.
Perhaps that is the seed of the relationship, seed of love, which is not really sprouts into full relationship. So symbolically, Saramya stands for the seed of the art and love relationship.
Yeah. Then Urvashi, of course.
Full fruition.
Full fruition of the relationship. They have a full-fledged relationship. Even the physical one also. Both of them enjoy it also. And of course, it is in simple terms, it is extramarital, definitely, because by then Narayan has got married to Gauri. Gauri and Gayatri, two sisters, are there. They come in his life. He also visits them in Akola, and finally he gets married to Gauri, and she is also a good wife. They have a very good marital relationship. The only trouble arises when she accidentally discovers the letter written by Rambha after Rambha has got married, and on her first night, after my wedding night, she writes to Narayan that actually she imagines him only, and this letter falls into Gauri's hands, and for a day at least their marital relationship is in trouble.
And Gauri is wise enough, she is mature enough, and that at least outwardly she forgives Narayan, and the kind of a reconciliation takes place with the break of dawn. The stormy night is over, the night of misunderstanding is over, and once again Narayan and Gauri, they come together as a couple.
Now, when you view the plot crudely, one is tempted to regard as first Madhura comes, then Menka comes, then Rambha comes, then Urvashi comes. In between, Narayan gets married also. Then he has a fleeting fling for Saramya also. Not a fleeting fling actually. In his imagination, she is always vibrant. So crudely viewed, the plot is just succession of one woman after another. What do you like to say about that?
This is only a surfacical interpretation of the novel. But as I have already submitted, that the novel operates at higher symbolical level. It tries to bring forth the true concept of love. Love is not simply confined to erotic experience. It is not simply confined to emotional experience. It cannot be found only in artistic connections. Neither it could be there in intellectual conversations. In fact, Narayan's craving for relationship involves all these elements put together. The only trouble that Narayan is not able to realize, all these four elements do not come into play in single woman, but he finds at least one woman in whom one element is fully expressed. So here,
Yeah.
we should not simply concern ourselves to understand this novel as a story that is events happening in the life of Narayan or in the life of some woman. But here we have to understand the true concept of relationship. The true relation should be like that. Whether it is possible to translate into reality or not, that is a different matter, because literature is not concerned with what has been or what will be, but literature is concerned what might be, what can be, what should be. So it is in that sense that we have to understand the journey of Narayan, and this journey operates on two wheels: art and love. At many places we find that the love and music, they so come together that it's very difficult to separate one from the other. He has a very tender emotional moments with Menaka when she sings and he listens, and he sings for her, and he also sings for Madhura as well.
And as Aristotle has said in his Poetics, literature concerns itself with the idealized reality.
Yes, idealized reality.
Now here, I think, Vinodji, as a novelist, you are trying to posit a reality where all the dimensions of love, as you have enunciated, physical, emotional, intellectual and artistic, PIA as we call it, maybe all of us try for the unification of all these dimensions of love, or at least we want to realize, we want to concretize all these dimensions of love in our life. Now the problem is that they don't co-occur. Generally they can't be found in a single person,
and that is why many of the love relationship, they run into trouble. We have observed in the reality that many of the love relationship do not sail through smoothly through the life,
because we want to have everything in a single person, whereas in the real life all these dimensions, even the two of them hardly co-occur. Physical, emotional, many times they go together, but they may not go together. Intellectual, emotional, intellectual, physical, all sorts of combinations you can envision.
Yes, exactly, Rajesh. Another interesting thing that I would like our viewers to take note of, that when we look at the sequence of these elements, because no relationship starts with erotic or physical experience.
Correct.
The relationship starts with artistic expression when he comes in touch with Madhura, then it proceeds to emotional one, then intellectual, and erotic or the physical element comes in the end. If in any relationship, whether that is an ideal or not ideal, if we proceed in this sequence, perhaps there is a possibility of better relationship.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is also a very good point, because generally if you start from the physical, the relationship may turn into a shallow sort of relationship. But if the binding factor is emotional or artistic or intellectual, and then the physical is also there, because as we see, Narayan craves for physical as well. With Menaka, he keeps on trying, whereas she doesn't like the physical aspect of relationship with Narayan.
She has her own disturbing past,
complexes, notes about that. And it is to the credit of Narayan, of course, he respects the will of the women in his life. He never imposes his will. Urvashi also, spontaneously the physical arises between them, and they do enjoy it in a very good manner. So this is a very creditable aspect of the hero of the novel, I would say, and he has realized all these aspects of love. Therefore he is happy in the end. He is not troubled by the petty things of life. He is serene, he is happy, he is living his art, he is living his love.
Another important trait of Narayan's personality is that he is absolutely simple, innocent, and humble. He does not lose himself in the in the glitter and glow of the modern world. He even does not operate mobile phone. He does not know how to drive the vehicle. So he is a simpleton, absolutely a simple and innocent chap.
And Vinodji, I would say, if I am permitted to give an analogy, perhaps in physics, as they say, all the four basic forces, they are trying to unite
theory
them
of
in the
everything. Theory of everything.
So here also you are trying to unite all the four dimensions, but at the same time you are cognizant that these cannot be really united in a single person.
It is difficult to unite or find all of them in a single person. So definitely I would like to say that this is the theory of everything with regard to relationship.
Yeah, even if I am to take the analogy a little further, the main problem in that unification theory of physics is that gravity is a force by itself, but it, even though the weakest force, it cannot be united with the other three forces in the quantum dynamics. So here also, if I would say that physical aspect of love cannot really be united always with emotional, intellectual and artistic. Sometimes it can be, but not always. And Narayan is wise enough to realize this, even though he pursues with Menaka, but he is wise enough to respect her will and realize that always the physical cannot be united with all other aspects.
And not only that, Rambha is basically ready to submit herself.
Yeah,
but it is the credit of Narayan. Rather, it is thanks to his wisdom that he encourages her to get married, because he understands that that is not going to be right in the long run.
Yeah, and as I said in the beginning, novel has a holistic conception of love. So if you permit me, Vinodji, I would just like to expand on it.
Exactly.
Holistic in the two senses of the term. Number one, the aspects of love are not monistic. They are many, like physical, emotional, intellectual, artistic. Even you can envision some more also. So first meaning of holistic is this, and you may or rather may not find all of them in the single person. So one should be really open-minded enough to realize the different aspects of love in different people. If the two of them are found in a single person, that is good enough, very good enough, but not all of them. And the second sense of holistic is that it is not mutually exclusive. Suppose you have the emotional closeness with one person, or let us take non-controversial ones first, intellectual and artistic rapport with a person. Do you say that I will not be intellectually or artistically involved with some other person? No, more the merrier. There it applies. But when it comes to emotional and particularly physical, we are very prudish. At least in the Indian context, we view these dimensions as mutually exclusive, confined to a single person. But whereas emotionally we should be liberal enough, as well as physically also, as Narayan himself is, it is not a harm to cross the Lakshman Rekha of marriage, I would say.
And another very important aspect is, one relationship in this novel does not cancel the other relationship.
Yeah,
that is usually the case.
It enriches.
It enriches. Even these relationships that Narayan has, they taken together enrich his relationship with Gauri. That is also to be noted.
Yeah.
And this novel, I would like to say that it breaks a new ground, new postmodern grounds, where we are compelled to look at love in altogether different light. It also challenges the established norms of man-woman relationship. It takes us altogether different world, perhaps the norms of which are yet to be endorsed by conventional sociology.
Yeah, and the reaction of his wife Gauri, or for that matter Urvashi also, when she visits the house of Menka, when Narayan is already seated there, her look asks, how long have you been here? That's it. And Gauri also, when she finds out about the letter, she is annoyed for a day, and maybe permanently something has happened in her heart, but apparently she is reconciled. So I would say, Vinodji, you have maybe underestimated the jealousy of women.
Yes, perhaps because these women come from the different planet.
Yeah.
Perhaps we are not yet wise enough, mature enough to accept the liberated expression of our different aspects concerning love. So still we try to fix our love into the framework which is provided to us by socio-cultural factors. See, this novel is a rebellious in the sense it rejects the parameters or the framework which is provided by the socio-cultural factors and sets the ground open for the affection to parade in that ground.
Yeah, bilkul. It is definitely a revolutionary novel. I would like to compare it with some other works, Vinodji. Generally what happens in our culture, that is Indian context, this holistic conception of love has not found favor, and any works of art or cinema which have tried to depict it, they have met the worst fate. The example comes of Mera Naam Joker. When Raj Kapoor made it, and the hero of that film, that Joker, he had a relationship with three women, one after another. The film was not at all well received, and it flopped on the box office totally. Despite artistically, it is a masterpiece. And again, when another work comes to mind, maybe Khushwant Singh's, we have already discussed The Company of Women. There, Vinodji, I am really, note it with sadness that such a great author, Khushwant Singh, has one after another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only the physical aspect of love, that too not in the artistic manner.
I consider that it is the failure of a novelist, because he has not been able to understand, depict the other aspects of the relationship except physical one. So that is, in my opinion, a great failure of Khushwant Singh, because he has failed to impart even artistic or the literary touches to his novel Company of Women. Because art is more than real life. Art is encompassing experience. Art is a comprehensive experience, and here in this novel Soft Corner, it is not simply the depiction of relationship or love, but it is artistic depiction, it is intellectual depiction, emotional depiction, and only then the erotic element is fit into that framework.
And really, this Mera Naam Joker, of course, it is very artistically depicted and multi-dimensional relationships with all three women, that too one after another. But unfortunately, our society was not ready enough to receive it. But I hope this novel of yours will be received with the credit it merits, and with the line of thought, thinking, and emotional reaction which it merits.
And I also appeal the listeners that they should approach this novel with open heart and open-mindedness. If you approach the novel with your own conventional ethics and conventional morality, perhaps you would be disappointed, because novel takes you ahead from where you are now.
And it is interspersed, in between with some philosophical reflections also. After some chapters, after some events, you also muse that some generalizations are there, and that enriches the novel further.
And another thing that perhaps we have not touched upon, if you look at the names, all these names come from our mythology. Apsaras, and Narayan himself is the chief god.
And here one dimension which strikes me, reading the names, in Indralok, in Swargalok, Apsaras, they always enjoyed perpetual youth. They had the holistic conception of love.
Exactly.
So why not the humans?
Why not the humans?
Why not
so
the
that
humans?
Is this subterranean satirical current is also important element to be noted.
And when Narayan sits with Gauri and Gayatri on the cave temple, and taking hands, both of them beside him, and he marvels, why can't we be like it always? It's a very great scene. Good scene.
Perhaps this is a primordial instinct, because in the ancient times, this monogamy was not a norm. It is the result of capitalist system. It is the result of capitalist economy. See, when we go for the monogamy, the more the financial considerations are more than the emotional considerations.
Correct. I would say it is the social manifestation of capitalism. Totally. It is a social manifestation of capitalism.
So we find the expression of primordial instincts in Narayan.
I would venture to say that by nature, human beings are primed for holistic conception of love.
So literature is bound to capture that authenticity of man.
So listeners, I would urge you to really read this novel and think and feel for yourself, and please give your comments to us.
I'm really grateful, Rajesh ji, to you that you have selected this novel Soft Corner for the discussion, and I am sure that this novel is going to set a new trend in Indian English fiction.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.